Today on Stamp TV, I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a tent topper card that fits perfectly inside a standard A2 envelope. Let me show you the tools and products you need to do this card. First, you're going to need some cardstock, and I'm using the Gina K Designs Pure Luxury Heavy Base Weight White. And I'm also using some of the black onyx and some of the red hot. And what you see here on this piece, I actually ran this through the Cuttlebug folder using the Swiss dot pattern. You're going to need some ribbon, and I'm going to use some of the black double stitched. You're going to need some ink, and I'm going to use Memento Tuxedo Black, a couple of the stamps from the new Enjoy the Sunshine Stamp TV stamp set, some Quicklets, the Quick Set Eyelets, and some adhesive. And then you can choose what kind of coloring medium you want to use. In my case, I've used some Copic markers. To begin, we're going to create the top part of the card. And we're going to do that first by stamping an image. And I chose the geranium flowers image from the new Enjoy the Sunshine Stamp TV kit. And I'm also going to stamp the greeting down here, and I'm going to cut both of them out using nestabilities. There. What I've done here is I've colored in my geranium flowers, and then I've cut it out using the Nestability standard circle die. I also cut a second standard circle using red hot, and I layered those two together. And then I cut a petite scalloped circle out of the Gina K Designs Pure Luxury Heavy Base Weight White, and I've secured all of those together to make the piece that will go on top of my card. Then I've cut the greeting out using one of the Spellbinder's double end tags dies. Now my next step is to assemble a card. The first piece that I'm going to work on here is I've cut out a piece of black onyx, and then using the Cuttlebug Swiss dot folder, I've added some texture onto a piece of red hot, and I've adhered those together. I'm going to add some ribbon because I want my ribbon to just accent my greeting, and my greeting is going to go a little bit on top of that ribbon, so I want to make sure that I place that in a good spot. And so that is where I'm going to want my ribbon. I'm just going to cut off the ends, a little bit of this ribbon here, so I don't have too much to wrap around the edge. And I'm going to adhere this to the back of this piece of cardstock. Just going to flip it over and add a little bit of Glue Glider Pro onto each side. And just secure that on the back. For the next step, I've created a 4 1/4 inch square card that opens up this way, and I'm going to adhere this entire piece right on top of that square card. Once again, using some Glue Glider Pro. I always like to do a little bit extra around the ribbon to really make sure that those ends hold on. And secure this into place. Now for my next step, I'm going to add some eyelets, the Quicklets, inside these two little holes that this double end tag die automatically puts in place for me. And if you've never used the Quicklets before, they're so easy to use. They're completely silent, and you can either use a ballpoint pen, which is very easy to use, or you can use a Quicklet setter, and that's what I'm going to use today. So I'm going to just pop the eyelet in place and flip it over, and just press straight down, turn a little bit, and then using the back, just press those little edges down. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Press that down and just pound the little edges down with the back side of the setting tool. And you can see now I have two perfect eyelets. They're not squished at all, which is really nice because I didn't use a hammer. And they have a nice flat back there so that I can lay this right on top of my card where I need it. And now I'm going to add that right here below the ribbon using some Glue Glider Pro. Right into place. Like that. Okay. My final step is to attach the topper piece onto my tent fold card. But I want to make sure that when I adhere these two pieces together, that this card is going to fit perfectly inside of an A2 envelope. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to call my score buddy into action here. Now you can see I have the score buddy turned sideways so that I can make sure that I adhere this top perfectly straight onto my card. And I'm just going to lay the card into this corner right here so it's right up against the side. And then I'm going to add some tape to the bottom part of my topper piece. And now I'm going to position this so that the top of the scalloped circle goes right to 5.5 inches, which is how tall I want this card to be. And once I have it where I want it, I'm just going to press that down. And now I have a perfect card that will fit perfectly inside an A2 envelope. And I'll show you that that fits right in there perfectly. And that won't make the envelope too big for the card, and it gives the card just what it needs to have that little accent piece on top. Try creating your top pieces using other shapes, such as rectangles, ovals, and even fancy pendants for another interesting variation.